飞机可能要落在金门机场了。为了你的安全，在系紧安全带的灯号熄灭前，请您暂时留在座位上。
Growing up in Taiwan, I heard a lot about Kinmen.
We hope you have enjoyed the flight, and we are looking forward to serving you again in the near future. Thank you and goodbye. 飞机那个的金门地。
Like most Taiwanese, I had never been to these islands so close to China until I came with my parents a couple years ago.
那个做酒的那个。首先跟你们介绍这个方处，喜宴啤酒是由美国制造，在823炮阵中战成了5套回合。
那个照片。
在录影对不对？
录影。
对嘛，录影才有意思嘛，对不对？
I knew that Kinmen had been the front line for Taiwan during the Chinese Civil War, but it was still a shock to see that China is literally right there. I sang the song all the time as a kid. We were taught that we Taiwanese were Chinese in exile, and one day, with help from the US, we would retake China, freeing the mainland from the evil communists. And Kinmen would be the launching pad.
About 100 miles across open water from Taiwan, Kinmen is surrounded on 3 sides by the mainland and has frequently been shelled by Red artillery. Kinmen is in effect the cork in the communist invasion bottle, performing much the same role for Asia as does Berlin in Europe.
This was my dad in 1968. When he drew Kinmen for his mandatory military service, my grandmother cried. She was afraid that he might not make it back alive. As I got older, politicians on TV stopped trying to convince us to take back China at all costs. But the folks in Kinmen were still expected to defend Taiwan, even though they have family and history just on the other side of the divide. As for my family, like most ethnic Chinese in Taiwan, we've been here for generations and have no connections to China. Instead, my father dreamt of going to the US, which is where I have spent most of my adult life, until I moved back to Taipei a few years ago. After so many years away, I'm still figuring out my own relationship to Taiwan and China. Kinmen connects Taiwan to China, but also keeps them apart. Maybe that's why I'm drawn to this place. I want to make sense of it.
你什么时候在这边的？
我快退伍了，前1年，94年在这边支援2个月，这是我们兵舍，我们住这一间啊。然后休息，中山是在这边啊，然后观测所这边啊。他们那边还有一个823的纪念公园啊。
那边也有。
废话，他打我们，他们也要有啊。他们也死多少，而且他们也是全村动员啊。战争对2边都不好。
国的第一前线金门。我希望在大陆的同胞也可以跟我们享受到一样的民主跟自由。唯有
我们这边为了要做心战喊话，要去劝服共军弟兄，所以呢，在后面的一个军事据点里面设了一个播音站。我们这边的邓丽君因为她的音乐在中国内陆蛮流行的，然后透过这样子的音乐的放送，就对大陆来跟他们讲，我们自由中国的最前线是多么美好的一个状态。对面就是大陆。1949年，台湾就跟大陆断绝往来，到2001年的时候才开始恢复船运。
在哪里，在哪里见过你？你的笑容这样伤我心，我一时想不起。
Growing up, this channel of water was the edge of our universe, separating good from evil. Then one day, we were suddenly allowed to cross to the other side. And all it took was a half-hour ferry ride. On my very first trip to China, I used my Taiwanese compatriot permit. It's basically a separate passport issued by the Chinese government, the same government that considers my Taiwanese passport illegal. But when I began working in China, it was actually easier to travel with my American passport. The China I saw was not the sad and scary communist wasteland that I learned about in school. It was an exhilarating place, bursting with colors and possibilities. I wanted to be a part of it, with whichever passport I needed to use. I was last in China in 2018. I had a hard time getting a film I made to pass through the censors so we could show it there. Then China's crackdown on Hong Kong happened, and the pandemic shut down everything, including the Kinmen Ferry in 2020. I'm not sure I'll go to China again anytime soon.
是持续的来侵扰我国空域，像是在今天上午呢，短短11分钟之内是4度的进入到我国的空域，遭到了空军的驱离。不过值得注意的就是说，美国参议员才刚刚提出了防止台湾遭侵略法案，而这个时机点攻击反而是变本加厉，也不禁让人联想中国加大侵略的这个强度，意思是在警告美方。
好，再来啊！你不会看久了。
我们家小朋友这样说啊，你天天在减肥，你的肚子越来越大。
不要减肥了，再减回家你妈不认识你。
我跟你讲，我昨天真的是鼓起勇气站上那个体重机哦，真的，哎，不知道什么时候会痛哦。
对呀、你再回家，你妈就说哇，2年没减
，3年了吧
？3年了。你第3剂打了吗？
打了。
打了，我觉得。
但是我跟你讲，我们第3剂打，如果去大陆哦。他是没有承认台湾的疫苗，你知道吗？你看，因为他没有承认台湾是一个国家，它是一个省，台湾省，所以他一定要打，一定回去一定是要再打2剂的，他不可能说我们回去不用打的啊，我都不知道啊，回去要怎么打？
我妈天天打电话跟我说啊，怎么感觉台湾跟大陆情势很紧张？我说那不关我们事。
怎么我们家人从来不会跟我讲这些问题耶？他们都不担心的。其实这些东西担心根本就
因为我们东北人好战，你知道吗？然后我妈说你赶快回来。
好战这种东西，小三通不会开也是有可能的。
哇，那我就回大陆不回来了。
When COVID broke out, I moved back to Taipei after several decades in the US. There you go. I've spent more time with my parents in the last 3 years than in the past 30 years combined. This place is feeling like home again, though I can't help but wonder how long this will last. I have split the last 15 years of my life going between Taiwan, China, and the US. More and more, I feel like a kid whose parents are involved in a three-way custody battle. Hostile, codependent, manipulative. Each pair with their own dysfunctions. They all think they know what's best for me. They don't care what I want. Many in Kinmen think that China will never attack Taiwan, and the US should stop interfering. We'll be reunified peacefully, they said, because after all, we're all one big family. At dinner recently, my mother casually reminded me that I should have a plan if China invades. But they intend to stay in Taiwan. We're gonna be too old to leave, she told me.
Hello， 好，咱空气乡亲哦，来，较我来，来，请你是试一试那个，是国庆日，啊，要应景一下哦，看一下，国庆生日快乐，来，国庆生日快乐。
各位贵宾，请坐下。恭请总统讲话。
现场的贵宾，大家好。两岸解决分歧，必须透过平等对话。我们期待两岸关系和缓，我们不会冒进，但绝对不要认为台湾人民会在压力下屈服。没有人能逼迫我们走向中国所设定的路径。
你可以再转过来一点，不是另外一边。对。好，来，3、2、1。你们两个看我，你们两个看我。
有，看到。OK， 有。
跟正，向左3洞远距离，低1洞，效益射。
就完成 ，OK， 48空上，非常好，48空，这个高度非常好，低1洞 OK。
Starting in 2024, Taiwanese compulsory military service will be extended to 1 year for all eligible men.
好了，辛苦了。
When these young men arrive in Kinmen, will they be surprised, like I am, by the peaceful sunsets? The same ones that my father must have seen when he served here all those years ago. And by the kindness of the people here, who are forever caught in between.